Hey, Nicholas, with some more adventures in locksmithing, kind of a channel update, if you will. Um, so, as you've seen, I've done multiple videos on repairing and fixing my van. Now, I want to be clear because you're probably seeing these. Some of these I had banked and I was going to show them later, but this has been this entire year, from at the end of last year, getting my van fixed, to while on a camping trip. I dropped it off. I got the heat sink, and the fan clutch replaced. I'd had it done before, but I also so I had that done. Before that, I had that done last year. Then I go in and I get the heater core done because it's still overheating, from a different mechanic, because that mechanic wouldn't return the call. The second mechanic says, "Hey, I think that fan clutch that he put in is the wrong kind. He put in an industrial one for like a 3500, to 5500. Well, you're 2500." And that should be using the same one as a 1500, and your van's not designed to run that hot, so it's going to be running hotter than it should. If you have problems, we're going to have to replace that. Sure enough, had problems, had to replace that, had to do some other stuff that got damaged, possibly from melting because of the overheating. I had my evac tubing wasn't quite right on it. One of the connection points wasn't even fully sitting in the connection, and it was deformed. Maybe because of the heat, although he didn't think it was because of melting. He just thought it was maybe deformed whenever it was last put in. So I got all that fixed, but at the time, this is back in May, taxes are due, all that kind of stuff. I couldn't afford to also get the blower done. Well, I started looking on YouTube. I'm mechanically inclined, and you'll see that there's videos of me and I replaced the blower motor. Real easy. Took me, 15 minutes total. If I wasn't, it actually took me like a half hour. If I wasn't filming it, it would have taken 15 minutes. But I still couldn't adjust. It was stuck on defrost. And that took me a while. And I found out that my van, although a 2014, still uses the old vacuum tubes, and they're hard to get to. Unfortunately, I did not do a video of that. It was pretty involved, and I needed to get it done in that because while having the AC in defrost mode, blowing at the windows was enough to get me through, like when it was hitting the 90s and a couple of days of 100. This upcoming week, we were going to be all 110, 112, we're going to be hitting real high stuff here for the 4th of July weekend, and the week leading up to that. So it's, just kind of putting a date on this video so you know what time it is. I got my friend Andre. I said, "Hey, I've watched videos of this. Some of it looks like what I'm seeing in videos, but it's not 100%. I'd like somebody that knows a little bit more about mechanic. Just come help me do this. I'll get all the supplies for it." And so we went and did it, and I gave him a little bit of money, not much, but he tried to do it for free. But I at least made sure he got some gas for coming and some lunch, and but together, we had to pull the whole front dash piece out to get to it into the engine from that point, because you couldn't reach it from up front. So like I said, it was involved. I had to pull all my boxes of paperwork and all that stuff out from the front. So that's why we didn't video it. Plus, it was like 100 degrees out, so we did it at like 8 o'clock at night by flashlight, hanging lights and stuff. So there's that. In the meantime, while dealing with all that, I had a light heat stroke twice. So I had a day I was supposed to come home, do a stream on Price of Reason's channel, doing a Quantum Leap rewatch stream, and I was running late at work, and part of that was because I had a heat stroke coming on. I didn't realize that the guy kept bringing me out like half frozen Gatorades, and I was downing them. So I came out, I went in, and I was working on this motorcycle in the sun, and like I just was zapped. I could barely drive myself home, and I just got home, and I got on the couch and I slept. And I just kind of knew, okay, I'm overheated. I drank a bunch of Gatorade, did it, some stuff like that, a lot of waters. That was Thursday night. Then go on to Saturday. So Saturday, it's also hot. I promised my daughter that we would set up a pool. I'd started Friday night, did a little bit of the setup work, tearing the old pool down. It's just the little ones. The old pool, the liner went bad, but it's like the kind that, you go buy down at Costco or whatever. And a friend gifted to us. Really appreciated that. And so this one was a little smaller, but it was round instead of oval. So I had to rework the pad that we had for it and all that. I'm putting it up, trying to get it done before it gets too hot. And it's getting hot fast. But once we got it done, I went and my wife wanted to go into town. She does dog training. And so she, shout out to Canines in Harmony. That's her socials if you want to see her dog training. But one of the things that she does is she takes them through social settings. So she goes to like a Starbucks and out on the patio and does that. She takes them to the pet store, takes them through Home Depot, and they do walking and training. So we have a dog that needs to do that before they go home. So I'm like, sure, I'll go with you, because she wanted me to video it a little bit for her social media. And we're there, and somebody came up and said, hey, you got your business card? And she says, no, I don't. And she asked me, can you run out to the van, go get it, come back? So I'm running out. Well, she'd hate that. She didn't like me calling it the van. It's a Yukon. She's very particular. She's not, never wants to be the mom in a minivan. So we go out to the Yukon, grab her card, and I'm walking back to the store, and all of a sudden it is like the ground is waving, and I can't stand up straight. I have to get a cart and basically just lean on the cart and push forward, get back into the store, give the guy the card, and I told her, you're going to have to drive. We ended up going to a Circle K, getting me 2 of these things, 44 ounces of half Gatorade, half water. I downed them on the way home. Still that, like, I was dizzy. I couldn't stand. I was that way, and it was about halfway through Sunday I finally felt better. I've had heat stroke in the past. I'm young, so when I go to the ER or something, which I probably should have this time, all they do is put me on an IV, and so which gets the fluids in you a lot faster. Admittedly, if you're doing bad work, but I mean, and I was like mentally having trouble putting sentences together, stuff like that. But I remember last time, this happened last year. Went in, they put the IV on me, and then they asked me, do you feel cold? And I said, yeah, actually now I feel cold, and because of the IV. And they said, do you want a blanket? And I said, yeah. And I didn't realize that blanket was going to cost me $250 to some company that wasn't the hospital. That like happiness person or whatever was a separate company, not covered by my insurance. And her providing me that blanket cost me like $250. I got a bill for that. Yeah, that was something. So that's really why I didn't go. It's like every time I do something like that, you get hit with the hidden things. But I doing okay, but that really put me down. And so it wasn't until a couple weeks after that, that I actually got to the point where I had my van completely going down. In the meantime, my house AC went out. This is so at this point in time, I'm working in the heat. I have no AC in my van, and when I get home, I have no AC. We were almost to the point of pulling out our camper, and just because our camper has AC, and being in it. Normally, until it gets to like 98 degrees, we live out in the country in the foothills. We turn on fans, open up doors, the screen doors, and that's enough to get us going. All right. Well, yeah, no. It just wasn't. Thankfully, my friend Kevin, the builder of TARDISes, if you know my other nerdy channel, The Backyard TARDIS, that is where that comes from. That is his TARDIS he built. That is the logo there. You know, we love to nerd out on Doctor Who and Star Trek and all that stuff. He goes, hey, I got one in my office that's a personal window unit that I use to keep it extra cool in there because it can get hot in there. You can borrow it. So I bought that. That took the edge off. It made it bearable in the house. But it's, you know, it's a small unit. It cannot cool down a whole house, but it can keep the whole house from being 90 degrees. It helped. And it also made it so that my wife, who has guest dogs, so their dogs, we put it in that room because, you know, we weren't going to have other people who were paying us to take care of their dogs. Their dogs suffered. So their dogs were at perfect cool temperature. Some fans helped direct it through the rest of the house. Helped take the edge off for us, but it was by no means cool. We were still, in the rest of the house, probably sitting in the high 80s, low 90s in the far parts of the house. So, you know, still not true relief. Then ended up being a capacitor. And so that was an easy thing to fix once we knew what it was. But we went for about a week with nothing. Meanwhile, the video that you will probably have seen by now, maybe not, I don't know when I'm going to post all this stuff, but of me putting in a new blower motor in my van, I at least got that. But once again, I said the vacuum tubes, I was just getting it barely, so I had a little bit of AC in my van, no AC in the house, and I finally had AC in the house, and a little bit of AC in my van. The temperature started to drop, and I was feeling good. But we had planned a camping trip because we really felt the need to get away, to recuperate, a lot going on. And so we were going to do something that I have never, I think I've only done one other time in the entire time I've been the owner of the Key Peddler. You know, since I've been the owner, with this business, it's really hard to close down for a day. I'm open Monday through Friday, every day. You know, I rarely close. I don't close for holidays. You know, like I mentioned, you know, this is 4th of July week. I will be working the 4th of July. Somebody's going to get drunk and drop a key in a lake, and I'm going to go out and fix it. So, you know, that is just what I do. Any day that you suddenly aren't there and they have to call a different locksmith, well, that may be the last time they call you because you weren't dependable, they were. And when you're a one-man show, that means you don't take that many breaks. And usually what I'll do is I'll take a Friday or a Monday off and have a long weekend, but we were going to take both a Friday and a Monday off. So one day of each week and be gone 4 whole days. So, you know, makes me nervous to do that. Makes me nervous to do that, that I might lose a good customer. But we're going to do that. And we made the decision to try somewhere nearer. We'd have some friends told us, hey, this is not such a great place. But a lot of people told my wife, you got to go to Bodega Bay. We like that so much more than Fort Bragg. Go to Bodega Bay. And some that even said this particular campground is amazing. This trip See, this is why this is not really an Adventures of Locksmithing. This is just a channel update. It's kind of what's going on with me. This was supposed to recuperate. This was supposed to recharge me with everything going on so I could get back to doing my locksmithing, rest. I'd been putting my body through too much with this heat. So, I mean, look, I've been doing this video for 12 minutes. I had the AC on before that. I turned it off to record this video, and I'm already drenched in sweat. And that's how hot it is. We go over there, and it's going to be in the 60s. Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be perfect. First off, and this is why you haven't seen videos on the channel for a couple of weeks, because I've been processing this, and I haven't really, but we brought our dogs with us. We have 3 dogs. I got a Weimaraner named Greta. We have a Boston Terrier, Rosie, and we had a French Bulldog named Waffles. Now, the trip down was going, well, it was going to be about a 4-hour trip. And we had, in the camper, we had 2 of our dogs in there in crates. And we routinely, about every 30 to 40 minutes, stopped and checked on them. Every time we did, Waffles seemed just fine. But the last stop we made was not a planned stop. We'd gotten a little turned around. We were getting turned right. One of the people caravanning with us for this camping trip desperately had to use the bathroom. We were nowhere, there's no bathroom, and he was like, he's a teen. He's like, no way, I'm going to the bushes. So we pull over and we let him use that. I had to move the one dog crate out of the way so he could get to the bathroom. She was fine. Our French Bulldog, who has been who we were mostly concerned with, he was barking. He seemed happy. Well, he seemed frustrated that, he was ready for the trip to be over. At least that's what I was assuming. But he wasn't panting. It was not hot in the trailer. The trailer was keeping cool temperature. In fact, now we were in an area where the temperature was in the 60s. It was very cooled off, and he seemed to be fine. We were only another 10 minutes to the campsite, and then, with check-in and everything else, it probably ended up about 25 minutes before we got to our actual campsite. When we opened the door there, he had started having seizures. We don't know if he got carsick and threw up, and that's what triggered the seizures, or if the seizures got him to start throwing up. But sadly, we went to rush him. Well, it was about an hour drive to the closest vet, and sadly, as much as my wife tried, and we drove as fast as we could, he didn't make it to the trip to the vet. And truth be told, when a dog starts having seizures like that, yes, he was still alive, but even if the vet had been on hand right there, if we'd been just... he was probably already gone. He was not very, he was still breathing, he was still alive, but he wasn't responsive, which is a sign of brain damage. We wanted answers. We wanted to know what happened. 20 minutes ago, he was okay. Like I said, 25 minutes ago, he was fine. But we're on vacation, and the hospital just says, no, we don't do any of that. No post-op, no this. My wife, usually whenever we have a dog pass, she gets a clay paw print and all this stuff, and they go, no, we don't do that. Yeah, sorry, no. We can send him to this other facility if you want. It's, going to be ridiculous amounts of money to get a paw print on paper an ink, like a baby foot paw print thing on a piece of paper. Ludicrous amount of money for it too, because you're paying for the cremation and all that too. And then they were going to give us an urn. We don't want an urn. We want a paw print. That was the start of what was supposed to be our recharge vacation. To say the least, it put a very somber note on it. We very much, my daughter's 8 years old, and we tried to put on a very brave face, make sure that she had a good and fun trip. But we wanted to turn around and pack up and go home. And there were a couple of times where we almost did. I was also admittedly stressing about money. I had a couple of slow days before we took off, and then the day right before we took off, I was slammed. And I was having to turn work. Well, can you come tomorrow? No, I can't. I'm going on vacation. The whole way there, ba-boom, 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 my phone's ringing, letting it go to voicemail. I'm booking up the Tuesday we're coming back as booked solid now, and we haven't even hit the weekend yet. We haven't even gotten there. I'm booked solid, so it's like I'm stressing about money, the expense of the dog. We're trying to enjoy this vacation. And then we found out some things about Bodega Bay. For instance, from our campground, it was 40 minutes to the gas station that had nothing. You want to go get their gas and stuff like that, but it was no... The gas stations in town where I service have more camping gear than there. Just atrocious. Just how little they had for us. And I mean, we lost our dog. It's miserable. There's nothing to go do except for the fact that we can go to the beach. The campground that we showed up at, I use campground lightly. Now this is dry camping. Now we don't mind dry camping. We have a generator to run the thing, but it's just one of those things that and we have water and all that on our trailer. But this wasn't a campsite. This wasn't enjoying nature. This was like being in a trailer park. There was probably 80 campers in a row on a grassy pad with some sand dunes kind of around us. It looked like we were in a trashy trailer park, except we didn't have plumbing and we didn't have electrical. We had outhouses that after our first day ran out of toilet paper. So we had to provide our own toilet paper. And mind you, the closest gas station, 45 minutes away. This was the access to the beach. Yes, it was right over a really, really high sand dune. You had to climb up a steep sand dune and go over to go to the beach. Or, pay to go park in a parking lot down the road. Which was always full. You could never get in there. People outside were always there. There was nothing to go do other than the beach. It was a pain in the butt to go to the beach. And if you got to the beach and it was like, oh, let's go home and get lunch and come back. No. It's like, if we go home, we're not making the hike down here again. So either you stay at the beach through lunch or you come back. Anyways. It's overcast, it's 60 degrees, but we're all getting sunburnt. So now we're sunburnt, but we're cold. And when we come home, it's 100 degrees when we get home. We finally get home. The trip cost us way more than we expected. I lost money because of work taking off. We had the expense of the dog dying. And just the somber note of coming home. And they have the crate where he sleeps at night. We have a nice wood-built one. It's right there in the living room. It's decorative. It's a double one, and our Weimerheimer is one, and he's in the other. And it's empty. You sit down on the couch, and I finally started bawling. My wife bawled a couple of times during the trip, but I held myself together. One time, at around midnight, I was there with the campfire doing it, and I finally started crying while on the trip. But I got home, I started bawling, because I'm sitting in the chair, and I'm looking at his empty crate, and I said, normally when I lay down in the chair, he comes up and he lays on my belly, and I just massage him, and he's just in my face going, nope, he's not there. Not there. And I'm exhausted. I'm sunburnt. Not as sunburnt as some of the others, but I'm sunburnt. And I got to go work in the 100-degree weather for a slam day, and I'm super depressed. I'm super tired. I'm exhausted. And this was supposed to be the recuperation. It was supposed to be that. And I got to tell you, I was just, it was too much. So I just want to say, I'm sorry I haven't been posting videos, but that's why. The videos will be coming soon. That was last weekend. We're getting to this, but it was a lot. It was a lot. Well, actually, that was 2 weekends ago. Time is just, Now, believe me, if you want to say, oh, you're a bad dog owner, or ask me questions to figure out, we have done all the coulda, shoulda, woulda that we could have. But honestly, at the end of the day, he seemed fine. We'd been checking on him, getting him out every leg of the trip. He'd been perfectly fine. And unfortunately, we will never know exactly what happened because the place we were at didn't do that kind of service. But it's sad, and it is what it is. And life goes on. But I just, it's been, the catalytic converters went out in my wife's vehicle, so that's gonna cost like it's just been kind of a little bit, we've had major hit after major hit, and it's just kind of zapped me creatively. The heat's kind of zapped me, and so I definitely want to get back. I've had stories, I've recorded a few, but just editing them and uploading them has just been too much for me right now. So I want to thank everyone for the patience with me, understanding. I just kind of wanted to let you know where I'm going, because that's something, I show up, customers are just demanding as they should be. They're demanding what they need. But everybody in the service industry are people too. And they're people with problems, people with things going on. And they have tragedy and different things happening in their life. And so I figured I would just share this update, let you know where I'm going. Thank you all, and I'll catch you in the next video.